Mr. Mars. Huh.
Howdy.
Looks like you drew the short straw in auto history.
Well, I want to tell you, I found a couple of interesting stories this week. For example, in 1957, the Fiat 500, a compact, affordable car that was aimed at post-war Italian families, was launched in July. And it actually became a cultural icon over there because of the proximity as practical city cars. But then they came to America with wide-open highways and not so much. So also this week in 1967, GM introduced the Camaro Z28 package. Now, this was the package. It was designed because they wanted to compete in the SCCA Trans Am racing. It featured the high-revving 302 V8.
Mark Donahue.
Yes, and a lot of heavy-duty components.
Gorgeous.
And it actually started a lot of the American muscle car variations that were ever made. Now, they sold 602 of those vehicles in 1967. It actually had 290 horsepower out of that 302, which was actually very underrated because they needed to sell it and to sell the cars, so they had to get it in because of the insurance that was going on at the time for street insurance, plus the racing classification. Did you know? Do you know where the Z28 name came from?
No, I don't.
It came from RPO Z28. Now, the RPO is the regular production option. For example, Z27 is the SS Camaro. So if you wanted to buy an SS Camaro, you bought a Z27 Camaro option. So naturally, the next one out, Z28. Just the numerical thing.
And then Z29 and Z30.
Well, they never got that far. They just kept using the Z28 as far as they got. They had a winner, so they just quit and used it for all the other stuff that came out.
That's my car right there.
Also, in 2008, TATA buys Jaguar.
I beg your
and
pardon.
Land Rover.
You can't say that on the radio.
Well, that's the main premise of this story. Indian automaker TATA officially completed buying Jaguar and Land Rover from Ford for $2.3 billion.
Did they ask any American male what you thought of the word Tata?
Well, it was more of a tit for tat thing kind of thing.
Yeah. A lot of people thought that was the end of those two British marquees, but they actually put a lot of money into it and actually
You always put a lot of money into
kept it
Tata.
alive.
That's what you always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you
seen them lately?
If I can remember.
Yeah. So also this week in 2004.
No, I want to talk more about Tatas.
Well, we can do that. I'm not sure that we'll keep our
license?
Yes.
Ability to stay on the air?
Or our female audience, but we can do that.
Well, we're not trying to offend anybody.
No.
I didn't make up the name. There's a car company called Tata. All right. I think the logo's wrong, though.
And that was the guy's name. The guy that founded the company, that was actually his name.
No, George Tata.
I don't think it was George, but could be.
Yeah, he kept hanging around.
So in 2004, the final Oldsmobile was built, and it was a Alero sedan that rolled off the line in Lansing, Michigan. Now,
uninspiring design by any stretch of the imagination.
Very true. Even though Oldsmobile had lasted 107 years.
And they blew it once again.
1897.
Yeah.
But they finally bailed out. Also this week, in 1957, Chevrolet introduces the 283 with the optional Rochester Ramjet fuel injection.
Yeah, baby.
Now, this is made this the first production engine that actually could achieve 1 horsepower per cubic inch.
Wow.
It was offered in the Corvette and in the Bel Air. And it's literally paved the way for modern fuel delivery systems and actually underscored Chevy's push into trying to build better engines back then.
Let me tell you something. From what I know about the fuel injection system, that one that you're looking at right there on the top of that 57 motor, there was one guy, Ken Neighbors. He knew how to fix that thing and make them work. And because for a regular shade tree mechanic like myself, you looked at that, you opened it up and you go, I don't get it.
No.
And if you don't get it, you ain't going to fix it.
Yeah, when I found this, I found some diagrams and stuff of it, and it was like, who thought of this?
Now, you know, there was late talk here recently about, we're not going to put AM radios in cars anymore because of the noise, because of the electric. Well, there's a perfect example. Do you see what they've done to the distributor?
Shielded.
They shielded it. So the distributor was underneath that chrome thing at the back of the engine back there, along with, if you'll notice, the wire covers all the way down to the spark plugs. And that's how they kept the radio interference out of the car radio in the dashboard of a Corvette because there was no metal. It was fiberglass.
Fiberglass, yeah.
And that's why. So I thought I'd just pass that along.
Pass
That's
it on.
interesting. More
Yeah.
stuff.
It
And,
is
and
history.
so what did we do? We took them off.
Exactly.
Yeah,
See,
what
wait.
is this? We don't need this. Get
Yeah,
that
I don't
out
need
of here.
that.
Yeah, we need to get rid of these 10 ounces.
Where's your wire?
All right, so finally, also this week in 1953, the Kaiser Darren sports car debuts. Now, this is the Kaiser Darren 161.
Uh-huh.
That is one of the earliest American fiberglass sports cars. Came shortly after the Corvette. It was actually supposed to debut before the Corvette. They were trying to beat the Corvette to the market. They did not make it. They only built 435 of the units.
Units. I love that.
That's the way they call them. Yeah,
I'd drive it.
and it was considered very, very collectible at this point because they didn't make very many of them, and there's not very many of them left around. So I just thought it was an interesting design this week in automotive history.
Thank you, sir.